For a lot of people, they think their early 20s are the times where they're gonna have freedom, fun, and do all the things that they imagined. But for most people, their early 20s is all about anxiety, not knowing what to do, and not knowing what's next. And that includes me. I just recently turned 24 years old, and I feel like from the age I graduated, which was 21 years old from college, till now, I thought that my life was gonna be completely different. I thought I was gonna have a lot of fun, live on my own, doing all the things that is kind of seen as things you do in your early 20s, travel the world, fall in love, all these things, right? But I kind of realized that none of that's really happened. And that can definitely put a lot of people in a state of anxiety, depression, sadness, because they don't feel that fulfillment of what they thought was going to happen and what's really happening. But I feel like for about the last 6, 7, 8 months, I've really changed my perspective. And that's why today I'm making this video about 4 reasons why your early 20s suck and things that you can do about it to change your perspective. One of the reasons for a lot of people why the early 20s suck is because they don't really understand things yet. And they also don't understand that there's not really a reward for everything like they have been receiving previously. So let me tell you what I mean. Your whole life, you've kind of had a system in place, right? When it comes to school. You've been in school from 1st grade to 12th grade, plus another 4 to 5 years in college. That's 16 to 17 years of schooling. And there was always a reward system in place, right? So for example, you're in school and you're taking a test. There's a reward system. You see the reward. You're working towards that test. You're studying, you're doing projects, whatever, and you see an outcome. You see an A or a B+, A-, 95%, 93%, whatever the grade is, you see like there's a reward. So you saw like, oh, I worked hard and I got a good grade. And a lot of your worth is based on that grade, right? And not even really the work you did, but the grade you received. But that feeling of getting that good grade makes you feel really good. And subconsciously that you kind of see that, for example, when you're in college, a lot of times the teacher will say, this is the high grade, this is the median, this is the average, right? And let's say the average for a test was a 73 and you got a 93. In your head, subconsciously, you're probably thinking, wow, I did better than a lot of people. You're looking around the room, you're like, I am better than these people at this thing, right? So you kind of feel like a reward. It kind of feels like you're one up. You're kind of ahead of the race. You're kind of in front. You're first place right now, right? But once you leave college, right, and you kind of get into the real world, there isn't really that reward system in place. When you're at work or you have a job they don't really like, there's not really a reward system. Like maybe if you're in like sales and stuff like that, you can make commission-based earnings, right? But for most people who have salary jobs or just have hourly jobs, there's no real reward for being better than the other guy, For example, I could be doing extremely well at my job, and the person next to me could be doing an average job. But at the end of the day, let's say we're both getting paid $25 an hour. There's no real reward to that, The only reward I'm gonna get at the end of my work, the project I'm working on, is that was great, here's more work, here's another project. There's never really an end in sight. Like in school, there's always an end in sight. You're getting good grades, you're working towards the end of the year, and at the end of the year, boom, you got an A in this class. It's over, now you're on to the next thing. But with work and kind of that life after college, there's no real like end reward, right? For a lot of things. A lot of people see life as a competition, especially when they're younger, and they see a lot of people around them succeed. Competition isn't a bad thing, but ego-based competition is a very bad thing. It can be very detrimental. And one example of this is how social media influences it. A lot of people who are young are over-consuming social media. And when you see, for example, you're watching the new TikToker blow up, for example, Addison Rae, she's around the same age. I think she's like 21 years old, right? She's wildly successful. A lot of people who are young might look at that and say, what does she have that I don't have? And this ego kind of breeds into thinking like, oh, she didn't deserve anything she got. She got lucky. She got this, she got that. And you kind of are competing with people who don't even know you exist. And instead of just living your life, instead of focusing on you, you're looking at other people and you're thinking, you know what, they're so far ahead, there's no point in entering this game, If you break down life into quarters, 4 quarters, right? You're in the first quarter right now. And let's say you're down in the first quarter, you have 3 more quarters to make it up. Imagine you're watching a basketball game, and after the first quarter, your team is down 10 points. And then they decide, you know what, this 10-point lead is too much. Let's pack it up and call it a day. No, you're gonna say that coach is silly. There's plenty of time to make up this deficit. And that brings me to my 3rd point. People giving up way too early. So many people want every excuse to just give up, right? Like I mentioned, you're down a little bit in that first quarter. You're giving up already? That doesn't make sense to me. Some people think their life is over and just washed up by 25. And you see that sentiment, once again, like a lot on social media. People always are making jokes like, well, by the time you're 22, nothing good happens after 22. by the time you're 23, nothing good happens after 23. People aren't even in their primes, like physically, mentally, until 25 plus. It doesn't make sense that you're giving up at 20 years old, saying, oh, well, everybody else is succeeding, I'm not, I'm giving up. Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in that mindset to giving up? My fourth point, it's kind of combining the first 3 points, is people are not truly focused on themselves enough. I feel like a lot of people take time caring about everybody else, or caring about every other topic, but they're not even focused on themselves. A lot of times, people want to consume their mind and consume everything just for them to have kind of an escape, or they'll have something to say like, hey, I was doing something. A lot of people don't look in the mirror and look at what they need for themselves. They're so focused on everybody else and focused on everything else, they're not even focused on what their goals are and how they can achieve it for themselves. For example, I feel like, especially nowadays with all these causes popping up, it feels like for a lot of young people that they have to be a part of every single thing. And if they're not a part of something, that they're looked at as a bad person online. And being a part of something, being a part of a cause is a great way to get involved, great way to stand up for what you believe in and stuff like that. But it seems like people these days are being worn out way too thin. They're part of every single thing because the internet or people are telling them if they're not a part of every single thing, if they don't know the answers to every single topic, they're kind of looked at in a negative light. And so they're wearing themselves out and wearing themselves too thin. At the end of the day, there's never anything wrong. Take a step back and look at yourself and realize that your life is meant for you, right? The end goal of your life is to be the best version of you, not be the best version of you for somebody else. But don't worry, if any of those things that I just said apply to you, trust me, I was in that same position. And I say I'm still working on a lot of these things. I'm not saying I got all the answers, but I'm gonna tell you guys some stuff that's worked for me and has helped me get on a better path. 2 things that have helped me is 1, creating a schedule that inhibits rewards. Like I mentioned in the first one, we don't have much rewards, but I like to have a daily schedule or something where I know I can achieve small goals, which is kind of like a reward to me. For example, doing 15 minutes of meditation every single day. I know that I can spare 15 minutes in my day to meditate. And when I do it, I have it written down on my whiteboard. I got a whiteboard right here, right? So like right here, I got meditation. So once I do that today, I'll be able to wipe it off. And that way, it's kind of like a reward, wiping it off. And then I also have an Excel sheet where I track all my daily stuff that I do and seeing every day like, oh, okay, I've been meditating for the last 10 days. It's kind of cool to see that. And I feel like that's a reward. Number 2, don't overconsume content. I feel like this was a big problem for me. I would always be consuming content. I'd be just getting worked up over imaginary arguments that I have based on people I don't even know. Somebody would tweet something or somebody would post something on TikTok and I'd be like, this is awful. And then I'd get mad kind of that this person's posting this, but I don't even know this person. So why am I getting mad? Why am I getting worked up over somebody I don't know whose opinion I shouldn't even care about, I love the feature on the iPhone where it's like track my iPhone screen time. And when I first saw that, I was at like 6-7 hours. And I've been trying to cut that down to 5 hours, and that's helped. And also setting limits on apps such as Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and setting them for a limit for how much I can consume it, and that's really helped me also, and I would recommend. Point 3 is finding a project or a new hobby that you've never done before. Now, why I think this could be beneficial is because you're really starting from scratch, right? You're starting from not knowing anything or not being good at all at this thing and working your way up to being good at it, right? And it doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be something very simple. For example, for me, is reading books. This is the current book I'm on, and I've read about 5 books in the last 4 months. Probably haven't read a book for fun since The Hunger Games, and I don't even remember when that was. I never felt like I was a good reader because I just didn't have enough concentration. I always felt like, I'm not a big reader because I lose focus way too quick. Figure out something you're not good at, something you don't normally do, and work on that as a goal. Finally, learn to be adaptable. I think this is a big one. Adaptability is key, especially in today's day and age. Okay, when you see a new idea and you learn about a new idea, don't be stuck in your old way of thinking. Not say your old way of thinking is wrong, but be adaptable and think, hey, let me listen to what this person or what this concept is, and then make a decision. Should I stick with what I know? Should I try this? I feel like a lot of people are they don't want to let the ego go. Freeing yourself from the feeling that you have to defend something, you have to do something a certain way, is an amazing feeling, because being adaptable is kind of freeing yourself. When you see something that is better, or a concept or a way of doing things is better, you're easily able to hit that pivot step in life and move that way, which is going to help you in life be the best version of yourself. Once again, these are just tips and advice that I feel applied to me, and I wanted to bring them to you. Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.